Alright, today we are doing 5-4, which is solving proportions. I want to get my camera set up quick. Alright, here we go. This is cross multiplying and dividing. Maybe you've done it before. It is awesome. It saves a lot of time. Some people try to hack around and find other shortcuts. You can do that too, but I'd recommend playing it straight and doing it this way until you figure out what's going on. But first thing, so I'm going to write in there then, so my first asterisk there is cross multiply. And when you cross multiply, after that you divide. So I'm going to write and divide. Technically it's called the means extremes theorem, but that doesn't really matter. So anyways, it means this. If we have one fraction equals another fraction, so like in my notes I have AB equals C over D. So A divided by B equals C divided by D. Then what you could do is you could take and multiply kind of diagonally across there. So that's going to give me a A times D equals, then you could do the other set of diagonals, B times C. And that may not make a ton of sense. The example will definitely help. So let's jump down to the example. So we're going to be making proportions in here and then solving them. The key is remembering what's in the numerator has to be that for both objects, like what it stands for. So I'm going to say this here. We use 2 GPS receivers for 10 kids to go geocaching during exploratory. How many GPS are needed for 90 kids? So we have two objects there. We have GPS receivers and kids. And it only takes a second, so I'm going to quick do GPS over kids. And you could do the other way if you wanted to, but as we set up a proportion, so I'm going to have one fraction equals another fraction. Earlier sections cover proportions are one ratio or one fraction equals another ratio, another fraction. You need to make sure the number of GPSs are on the top for both. The number of kids are on the bottom for both. So okay, so 2 GPS receivers for 10 kids. That's going to be my first ratio or my first fraction. Now, the mistake then is this 90 is people put the 90 in the wrong spot. But if you label it, 90 is the number of kids, and kids are right there in the denominator, so 90 has to go right there. So the question is how many GPS receivers are needed? Well, we'll make that our unknown, we'll make that an x. And that goes in the numerator because the numerator is the number of GPS receivers. Okay, now as far as doing like the cross multiplying, I usually take the one that has the variable and do that first. Just because we're more used to seeing the variable on the left, it really doesn't matter. But if you do that, you get a 10 times x, or 10x equals, then you could do the other two, 2 times 90. And I love it when people show their work, so I'm going to go through and keep going. So I have 10x equals, 2 times 90 I can simplify, that's just 180, so I have 180. So we want to get x by itself, so look at what was done to x. X was multiplied by 10, so we do the inverse of that. We divide by 10. And I get x equals 18. So in other words then, 18 could be the number that would go right there. If you had 90 kids, wanted to keep the same ratio, you'd have to have 18 GPS receivers. So that's that. We'll do another example. This one here doesn't have the story problem, it's already set up for you. I just wanted to take and put x in a different place. So I would go through and do the same exact steps, cross multiply, and I would do this set of diagonals first just because I like seeing x on the left side, but again it doesn't matter, either way will work. So 4 times x equals 7 times 22. Alright, so now 7 times 22, maybe punch into a calculator if you want, that's going to be 154. And then that equals my 4x. So next we would divide both sides by 4. So you'll notice it's both examples, you always cross multiply and then right away you divide after that. So then x is by itself. If I punch 154 divided by 4 in a calculator, I get 38.5. And that would be my x value. That'd be the number right there under 22. So that's it for the section. Let me know if you have questions. Be glad to help.